Alrighty. Sometimes you just got to press record, start talking, and it feels like one of those days today. So that is what I am doing. I am sweating because it's really hot, so I feel like my brain's a little fried, but still, did want to sit down and talk about the fact of taking a break, taking a pause, taking a step away from a very noisy, big life. That can be hard as someone who is a very big achiever, someone who wants to do a lot of things. Taking a break and not doing stuff, so to say, seems like the actual opposite of our goal. That seems like simply being lazy, and I feel like it is so easy to label it as that. We're simply being lazy by not doing everything 100% of the time. We're not living to our fullest potential because we're not doing this, and this 100% of the time. And this can be quite diminishing because we don't have infinite energy. And the energy we do have, we have to be very careful on where we are putting that. The goal is not to have complete silence. The goal is to have better noise. We want to have a busy life. We want to be able to give out our energy to many things, but we cannot simply keep going in a blind manner when we are in the noise. It is hard to see what is truly important. It is hard to hear everything else around us. So we have to take moments of silence, take moments where we step back in order to rebuild anew, to build that better noise. This is something that I personally went through just over these last few days. That's why I'm talking about it, because everything I experience in life ends up becoming a very important topic that I feel I need to share, and that this is definitely not the first time I've taken such a pause, but it is definitely there's definitely going to be more to come, because it isn't a thing of a solution where you do it once and if you did it right, then you're done forever. You do need to consistently have pauses. I'll get more into this a little bit later, but I would say that you need to have pauses in throughout the day, but then also bigger pauses that are more so monthly, every other month or so. And that's just kind of based on personal preference, based on how your life is going. And I'll get into that a little deeper later. But what is taking a pause? What is taking a break? Well, like I said before, it is simply taking all the noise that we have in life and quieting it down. For me, in this particular situation that I just went through, that noise was specifically just all the people around me that I was communicating with. And I needed to take a step back. I was spending so much time on my phone, writing to this person, writing to that person, waiting for a response, blah, blah, blah. And it was just getting to me, because I realized that the more I did that, the more or the less I had actual energy to put into the conversation. It was becoming a simpler and simpler answer every single time. And I don't want to continue on with that. I don't deserve that, neither do the people that I'm talking to. So I took a step back from it. I told myself, okay, I'm not going to go on my phone and text people. I'm only using my phone for Google Maps and trying to get from place to place, as I need my train ticket for that. But other than that, I didn't use my phone. It was completely shut off. And the way I personally do it, the method I've found works best for me, is what I call until it's empty. And this is simply a method where I take a piece of lead. I usually write with pencil. So I take a piece of lead, I stick it in my mechanical pencil, and I say, okay, I'm not going to end this until this piece of lead is out. And this, for me, works great because it is not only a challenge of, okay, I'm going to take a pause for this many days, but it is a challenge where it's not over until I've wrote so much that I've undoubtedly wrote myself into a better position. Because for me, at least, when I write, I can only write for so long before I start making big changes, before I start questioning, asking big questions, answering big questions, making actual changes, making plans. And this is the whole process that kind of sends me spiraling into better change. And so I know I won't be distracted by the noise until I've already written enough where the noise won't be that big of a distraction anymore. For me, in this current situation, I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the problem in and of itself was I was simply not pouring enough back into my own cup. I was not focusing on myself enough, and in that sense, I was not able to give that out to other people because I was operating from a way of scarcity. I didn't have enough in my own cup, and so I couldn't pour that out and give my energy out to others. I immediately noticed when taking this pause that I was gaining that energy back very fast. And I had like specific moments where I could say, hey, here, if that was me a week ago, I wouldn't have had the energy to do that. But here I was able to give that energy and show that specific person how much they mean to me and give back to them in that way because I put myself first in this situation, which I know sounds a little egotistical, but putting yourself first is the first step in helping other people to the fullest extent. And I'm really glad that I did it. It all worked out. It's never comfortable knowing that, okay, I'm not talking to this person and this person. I'm going to miss out on some hangouts. I'm going to miss out on some events, but that's okay because this is life and I am not playing around with my life here. I am not simply just, putting it into play and saying, oh, if the wind blows me this way or the wind blows me that way. No, I am here to live life. And so when something like this that is so fundamental for me pops up, well, I'm definitely going to take the time, whether it's uncomfortable or not, whether I'm, missing out on stuff. Well, I'm not even going to be able to be there if I was at those events because, again, I wasn't giving enough back to myself. I was starting to operate more and more out of scarcity, trying to chase down what I wanted instead of meeting it in the middle. And to take a pause, there can be very many reasons for needing to take a step back. And it can be in many different ways. Maybe it is taking a step back from just trying so hard on one certain thing. Maybe it is taking a step back from your phone, from social media, even just a specific website. Maybe it's taking a step back from a specific goal that you have set for yourself and just saying, okay, let me just figure out why it's important for me to even work on this before I put more and more energy into something that I'm not so certain of. Again, we want to have noise. We want to operate heftily. Heftily? Is that a word? I made it. We want to give our all, but we cannot do that 24/7. And we want to do that in a good way. You want to have a symphony and not a cacophony. A symphony is comprised of many different instruments, a lot of different things going on, a lot of energy coming together, but it is the right kind of energy. It is the right noise. It combines together with itself to create music. A cacophony is just a bunch of random things all bumping into each other, And that creates unrest. It is not something that you can continue on going with. I like this example that a friend brought up. There is a difference between motion. What was it? I have it written down here before I just mess up. Um, there's a difference between movement and improvement. You can simply move yourself, do things, wake up and be busy and check emails and blah, 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 blah. But is that in its base actually improving your state, actually getting you where you want to be? A lot of people focus on just the movement, and I feel there is on social media now a culture of move, of do something, of get this done, wake up early, check emails, blah, 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 make this amount of money. But why? That's, I feel, the question that fails in most cases is people just don't ask themselves why. I I'm gonna bring this up because I feel this really hits in this moment for me. Is I was sitting on the couch the other day talking to my host dad, and we were talking about how I'm gonna make money. I'm trying to, find something online. I can't legally work here, so I have to do freelance stuff online. And he said, "Why don't you just make content? Be a content creator." He himself is a journalist. He knows a lot about this. He does it all the time. And so, why not do it? I know I could. He knows I could. I could make money from it simply by having a few followers and doing different ads and things. And I could do that very easily. But I know exactly why I don't want to do that. That would be movement. That would be doing something that other people might even find pretty grand. Oh, you have an account with so many followers and you're making money from it and you're an independent creator. And I look at it and say, well, this isn't me. I don't want to go on camera and say, oh, come visit this place or come buy this product when I honestly don't care. Actually, my goal is very much on the other end of the spectrum, where I want people to think about, why are they going to this place? Why are they buying this product? Actually giving them a sense of what they are doing. And with that, I cannot show up and just do something because, oh, it's a fast way to make money, because I need to do this. And for me personally, putting something online is very vulnerable for me, because I want to be as honest as possible. And the moment that I put something online that isn't 100% honest, that isn't me doing like what I'm doing right now, this is me. This is 100% who I am. And so I just do it. I don't care about the making of the money of it. I don't care about how many subscribers I have, or even right now how many people see these videos. I just care about showing up and doing the thing, speaking my mind. And this is a question that I feel it just fails in a lot of people. They simply see the outcome, see the success. Sure, I would be successful by doing such and such, by being on the other side of that and achieving and having sponsorships and whatever you want to. That is definitely a definition of success in a lot of people's eyes. And I just see it as absolutely nothing that I want to take a part of, because the second that I put myself out there in a way that isn't 100% me, well, then that reduces the chance that I actually get to show that percent of that 100% of me, that I actually get to show up. And when you hear the words that I'm speaking, you understand that it is coming from a human, not some salesman, not someone trying to make a living, but someone trying to help other people change and help myself change through this process. Whew. That got off a little off track, but by golly, that's what this whole thing's about. So, just taking a little quick look-see at the notes because I know, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I'll circle back to this: the fact of finding little pauses throughout the day, and then finding bigger pauses throughout the month or the year. I feel almost everyone needs a pause to take a step back, excuse me, and remove the noise throughout a day's work because we operate as humans in this time frame of a day. We wake up, that's the start, and at the end we go to bed. And then starts a new day. And so if you have constant motion, constant noise from the very beginning to the very end, well, when is that moment where you can actually change something, where you can actually realize, okay, this might need to be fixed here and here. And they don't have to be big things. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, and the changes you make don't have to be huge. They don't have to be enormous life changes. But tweaking a little bit here and here and giving yourself that time to recognize, okay, this is this way and this is that way, and I want this to be that way. Well, I'm going to sneak this in here. I'm going to make this a little change. I'm going to start this habit. Well, we need to give ourselves room to think, room to just simply let that hit us in the head. Because if we are constantly filled with noise, with this motion, and even if it is fairly good noise, fairly, strong, you still need time to refine it, make it better. For me personally, I do this through 30 minutes of writing. Every single day, I have 30 minutes where I sit down with a notebook, and sometimes I don't write a single thing, and it's just me sitting in complete silence for those 30 minutes. But I'm not checking my phone. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to do this and this. I'm just thinking about life in general. And this removes the noise from me. And you can find this in even simpler ways. Take, for example, every time you eat, if you can take those 15 minutes when you're eating lunch to just not be looking on your phone, not trying to complete this task and this task, not thinking about what's happening next, but to just take a break, find some quiet time, and think about life. Or do it at dinner, or even for those few minutes while you're brushing your teeth. Take any chance you really get to just sit in silence and think. Another great one would be a commute. If you have a commute on the way to work, instead of listening to the radio, instead of listening to music, just put on white noise or just nothing at all, and take those little tiny bits of moments to just think about stuff. And if you feel that trying that, or just even the thought of that feels uncomfortable, 30 minutes of nothing, of no music, well, then that's probably the biggest sign that you need to do it. Because what does that say about you if you can't sit in silence for 30 minutes? If that seems like such a scary task, well, that means that you aren't very comfortable sitting in your brain, sitting with your own thoughts. And that's okay. I wouldn't say I'm 100% comfortable with it either. It can feel boring. It can feel just plain out uncomfortable sitting in silence, especially when I'm in a moment where I want to make some changes, because change is in and of itself always uncomfortable. That's just how it is. And so that's actually one of the best signs that it is working, that you're doing the right thing. You're putting yourself in the right position. It is okay to be uncomfortable in the short term, but don't create yourself a life where you're simply doing stuff and you feel uncomfortable in the long term. You feel uncomfortable in your soul because you're not satisfying who you're truly meant to be. That is not good. I can say so from experience. as I've changed just throughout time. I'm still very young, and I still know that I have a lot to learn, I have a lot to continue to change and try out. But even just a comparison of the me I was when I was 15, 16 years old to the me now, I am very happy with everything that I have done with myself, and just all the uncomfortable situations that I've put myself in. I can only be thankful for those. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have to strip down to simplicity in order to build anew. What does it mean to remove things from your life? Maybe it's not a permanent removal, but take a few days where you have as minimal of tasks to do, and you just have maximal time to think. Maximum time to think, where you just have as much room for yourself in the day. And I know we have things that we have to do. We have to show up for work or school, but there are always a few things that we can just simply leave out, that we don't have to focus on. Maybe it is just taking a break from your phone so you're not texting your friends or chatting with some random people online, or maybe it's a video game where you're just not going to play it for a few days, but give yourself the room to just sit in the silence, to take that noise, because not only is it necessary in those moments of actually being in the silence, but just having simply less on your plate throughout the day gives you more room throughout the day to think. Even when you're at work, even when something is busying you, you know that you have less to do, and so you have more time to think. Yeah. And I feel that that kind of wraps it up pretty nicely. It's nice out here. I'm sitting in the forest, just enjoying life. I trained hard. I'm going to be tired tonight, which is great because I couldn't fall asleep last night. And I'm just taking a deep breath in and realizing how good life is right now, because I made some of those uncomfortable decisions, and I'm going to continue to make some of those uncomfortable decisions. The pause really does help. Oh, there's one more thing. Because I did bring up trying to find a pause throughout the day. And I believe that you should have a little something throughout your day where you just have silence. But I also believe that it is important to find within a month or 2 months or quarter of a year, whatever you want to have it as, but having a bigger pause. So throughout the day, a couple minutes at most, or at least, excuse me. But then throughout the months, having just a few days where you take a step back. Maybe it's a weekend where you don't plan anything grand and you just kind of live a boring life. It is, yeah, a little boring to do this, to take the pauses, but still, it is helpful. Still, it is, you're playing around with your life here. Would you rather have consistent movement or the actual chance at real improvement, at actually making your life better? Or do you just want more of the noise? Do you just want to know that you didn't miss any hangout with anything, any event that was going on, and at that cost that you won't ever satisfy what is really getting at you in the core, what is really hitting your soul? It won't ever be satisfied. It's a trade-off that you can kind of weigh and consider. But find something few days within those longer terms of the month. With that, I'm gonna come to a really slow pause because I'm getting eaten alive by skeeters out here. So, as I always say, if you like the video, give it a like. If you dislike the video, please give it a dislike. If you have something to say, leave it in a commentar down below, because I always love reading anything you have, just mentally, just put it on there. I will try to respond if I find there's something to respond to, and question me. That's the biggest thing is I want questions that are kind of hitting me in the thing. I don't take them as attacks. I take them as a bit of a fun challenge to try to explain my point of view. I don't want to have an argument. I want to have a conversation with anyone, even if you do not believe anything of what I said today and you're completely against it on the other side. I want to hear what you think, and I want to be able to explain to you maybe more in a more specific way why I think the way I do. And maybe we can end up changing each other throughout this experience. That's the whole goal of it in the first place. Yeah, and that's about it. I'm going to see y'all next Wednesday for another podcast. And I have no idea what I'm going to talk about then, because I usually don't know what I'm going to talk about until I don't talk about it. That's right. I'm really dark right now. I just realized in the light sense, not in the skin tone sense. Bye.